ramble about another movie, The Pianist. What a movie. I watched it a couple of days ago with my mum. I'd already seen the movie. Like the other movies, I have already seen the movie before I watch it again for the purpose of my master's degree. For those who don't know, if anyone's watching, I think my last video got like 3 views and I was like, woo! If anyone is watching, I am doing a master's degree. I am watching a bunch of movies that make me cry, and I'm just picking them apart to basically take how they make me cry and put them in my own film. So what I'm doing is I'm watching a bunch of these movies, I'm deeply analysing them, I'm putting them through like a phenomenological process, which means that I watch the movie once, I go through the script to note down which parts of the script and the movie make me emotional. I watch it again, and then I note down all of the visual and audio effects in the scene that makes me emotional, and then after that I go through all of those scenes that I noted down and I describe exactly how they make me feel. I will put a word next to the scene, like for example, one scene makes me feel awe, AWE, and then I'll write the definition of that word and explain why I feel that certain thing, and then at the end of that I will take those words and the film techniques that I've picked up while watching the movies and implement them into my own writing. So that's what I've done with The Pianist. I've already done After Sun and All of Us Strangers. The Pianist was a very different watch to After Sun and All of Us Strangers. Those first 2 movies are more based around human relationships, and whilst that is present in The Pianist, I think The Pianist is, first of all, it's a World War II film. It's a film about the Holocaust. And so I'd not really touched on a movie that tackles such sensitive historical moments like that. And so it was a really, really different watch. And I got a lot out of it because, to be honest, I was leaning more towards movies that depict human relationships, and whilst I'm going to be continuing on that, I think that watching The Pianist was quite helpful for me just due to the fact that it was different. Like, I picked up on different things, but they eventually all led to the same phenomenon. And I find that in The Pianist, when I'm doing my phenomenological analysis for that, I find myself just trying to come up with different words for grief, sorrow, pity. Like, just different versions of those words. Because that kind of was it. Like, it's such a devastating film, and the cruelty and the impact that World War II had on individual people and just the human race as a whole was huge. And it kind of felt a little bit like I was biting off more than I could chew. Like, who am I to be taking things from this film? And in saying that, like, I might not, because in my film, I'm aiming to create tension and sadness between characters and between unsaid things and their personal relationships, not within the context of a world event. But it made me cry in a really different way than the other films that I've watched have, in which that I felt, first of all, this might be really, really awful to say, but I felt like lucky because I'm still connected to people who have experienced the war. And yet I will never, probably never in my life have to experience anything of the sort, which I'm so grateful for. I don't know how I would survive in that kind of setting. And it just goes to show, like, we take for granted so many little things, so many people, so many pleasures that keep us safe, physically safe. And then when you have physical safety, you're able to build foundation for yourself and build a life. Whereas in The Pianist, Adrian Brody's character, for years he's just surviving, barely surviving. And it's devastating because people take advantage of him. He's alone for all this time. He's in a constant state of fight or flight. It's like every day he thinks he's going to die, and it's awful. And one of the characters in the movie, besides his character that I really connected with, was his father. And his father is this really meek, little, sweet old man. And there is a scene in which he just gets clocked across the face for not bowing to a German officer. And they force him to walk in the gutter, and he just goes along with it. I'm tearing up now. He just goes along with it. He won't stand up, he won't fight, and he doesn't have the ability to. He knows he doesn't have the ability to say no because they could kill him. You know, these German officers were killing Jews and Polish people on the street in front of people every day, and I don't know, it was a very, very different watch. I'm really glad that I did watch it because it's really reframed. Well, it's not reframed, it's given me a broader scope, and the feelings that come out of it are very similar to the feelings that came out of After Sun and All of Us Strangers, but ultimately in a different context that I feel so lucky and almost guilty to not have to touch. It's like a privilege. I feel privileged to not have to touch these world events in order to bring meaning to my art. In this movie, survivor's guilt is a big component of it, and I'm not saying that I feel survivor's guilt, but I definitely feel guilt. Because it's based on a true story. The main character is a real man, and he went through this, and I'm sitting here watching a movie based on his experience that he lived. For my art, that says nothing about what he went through. And so I feel guilt. I feel guilty for using it like that. But it's a beautiful film. And I don't know, I guess it kind of humbled me a little bit. It definitely humbled me. Thank you for listening. That's my reflection on The Pianist, and I'll speak to you next time.